Number 40, baby. The Mets are 40-22 on the season. Have the largest lead in all of the NL to this point, even with the Braves winning 11 straight and with the Phillies winning 9 straight, even though they got pistol whipped by the D-backs today to end their winning streak. How's it going, Mets fans? We'll be breaking down everything that there is to know about the latest Mets victory as they secure the series dub, a 500 road trip out west here, winning 4-1 is your final against these LA Angels. I have so much to say, so pumped up about this game and this overall victory for the Mets as we finally can have a post-game show that's at a reasonable time. Yes, I know the visuals might be terrible. They might be pixelated for a minute. Don't worry, guys. We'll pick back up. You know the drill with my unfortunate, what I've been having with my connection as of late, and I know it's a broken record, but just give it a minute or two. It'll stop being pixelated, and I'll look prettier, even though I know I look ugly to begin with. But we got a lot to break down. First, I want to give a huge shout-out to everyone first chiming in the post-game show, folks. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe, as always. It's greatly appreciated. Help us get to 100 likes for the first short-term goal, and help us also get to 16K subs for the next short-term goal here on WardyNYM. So much to break down. Loving the comments, my upwards of 300 plus viewers. Thank you guys all so much for that. Let's get some W's in the chat. Let's get some LFGMs in the chat. I want to see it spammed right now, folks. I see some donations I'll be addressing soon. Shout out my girl Nina in the chat with the $2 super sticker. That's my girlfriend, in case you guys don't know, so you can always give her a shout out. I will not complain there. But we got a lot to break down. So pumped up. This game was so important for the Mets with Starling Marte back in the lab. Pete Alonso Marte, who would have thought that, you know, with these guys out for a couple days with injury, that, yeah, when they come back in the lab, they're going to make an impact, and it's going to be a drastic one. And that was on full display in the Mets 4-1 victory that was backed by some strong pitching. Taijuan Walker had a dominant performance tonight with 6 quality innings. Got shelled a little bit there in the first, gave up 1 run, but got worked out over 20 pitches in the first. And you know what Taijuan Walker did? He said, and I took that personally, as Michael Jordan famously says, right? But no less, Ty had 10 punchies, a season high. You love to see that. And then Edwin Sugar Diaz, put some respect on my man's name. The fact that people have the audacity to still say that Edwin Diaz is not among the most elite closers, let alone pitchers in baseball, and that our relievers is simply asinine. His first 5-out save of the year, and he strikes out 5 of the 6 batters that he sees, including Mike Trout, including a 102 heater right down the pipe on Walsh and in the 8th, and striking out the sign of the 9th. That is how you close the door and secure a series W. So let's get those W's in the chat, baby. Let's effing go. Thank you again so much for being here, guys. I really do appreciate it. But let's break down this game. Guys, the Mets went into today finally a 7 p.m. Eastern time start. Of course, it was earlier. I think it was, a 3 or 4 p.m. Eastern time start there, apartment Eastern Western there in Cali. And the Mets, they had Ty on the bump facing off against Southpaw. Has been so good this year. Give credit where credit's due, that being Patrick Sandoval. And this game was unbelievably important. And I said to you guys in my series preview, Sandoval, this start would be the most important game for the Mets because it truly felt that if the Mets can work Sandoval and get enough on him, that would make or break their series here because Lorenzen, of course, had a really strong outing yesterday for the Angels. And as the Angels won 11-6, clearly had that awesome 3-run bomb for his first home run in his career. And as a New York Met yesterday in the 9th, but they still fell short. So for the Mets to come out against a strong lefty and be able to win that pitching battle between himself and Taijuan Walker alike was absolutely huge for this club, folks. But as we start things off in this, guys, and again, continue to smash that like and subscribe button. I'll be getting your comments, questions, and concerns very soon. Donations, all that fun stuff. And then, of course, we may take some callers. I'm not going to guarantee it, but we might tonight. So stay tuned for that as well before I cut things off for people on replay. But everybody, this game starts out in the first. Taijuan Walker's getting hit early, and he's giving up a lot of hard contact. At least 4 hit balls were really hard contact against him there, and he bombed the first, folks. And it led to, of course, you saw a double from Marsh, who's literally a Walmart version of game to speak right now, a Blackman there for the Rockies, and he murdered the Mets all series long. For the left-handed hitting outfielder. He gets a double to lead off this game. Then Mike Trout does what Mike Trout does best, and he gets himself an easy RBI single. First pitch swinging to left field without a problem. Then Walsh gets himself a single and Duffy single, but thankfully Taijuan's able to get out of the jam with a couple guys still on after Trout's RBI-based knock. But after that, you could tell that Ty wasn't happy, and he started just throwing fastballs, using that split finger so well, utilizing his pitches and that pitch mix better than I think we've seen all season long in part. And he shut the door on this Angels offense before they really even had a chance to get back into a groove after their hot start. But then as the Mets get, of course, to the top of the second, they weren't able to tack on a run, but you could tell that the Mets were starting a hard hit fairly early. JD Davis, a beautiful matchup against Sandoval on the lefty. Lefty-righty, normally that's a matchup that JD should be thriving in every single time. And thankfully for the Mets, he did exactly that tonight. Started things off with a nice base knock there, and then Jeff McNeil got a base knock opposite field right after him. Again, Mets win score there in the second, but you kind of had the feeling, at least I did, that this offense was sure to break out and at least be more consistent than what we saw the night before, and in most losses in games that the Mets lose in this West Coast trip, where other than last night, they simply aren't scoring runs. So it definitely gave me a positive outlook on the game going forward from an offensive perspective. But then we got, folks, to the bottom of the second, and Taijuan Walker again took things personally from the first. What does he do? He strikes out the damn side with absolute ease, making those Angels hitters look absolutely stupid. The Mets benefit a little bit tonight without having Shohei Ohtani in the lineup for the Halos. Even with Trout in there, again, it was definitely positive for the Mets to have to face Shohei for another consecutive game. No less, we then get to the third, folks, and Brandon Nimmo gets himself a nice base knock. Brandon Nimmo, guys, should have had 2 home runs tonight. He was so close. The first pitch that he saw, his first at bat, I should say, he took deep to Sandoval, and Sandoval had not given up a home run yet this season entering tonight's game. And literally the first batter he faced in Nimmo was this close to a dead center bomb that fell short. Then he was this close again to getting himself a bomb later in the game in his second or third at bat, plate appearance, I should say, where it just went foul there in right field. But no less, there in the 30, gets himself a nice base knock. And Starling Marte, back in the Mets starting lineup, he does not do anything wrong whatsoever. He takes full advantage. And Marte said to himself yesterday, I'm healthy, I'm feeling 100%. Buck didn't put me in the lap. Hopefully he does today. Buck did that, and Marte thrived against this lefty with a beautiful RBI double to drive in the Mets' first run of the game, tying the game 1-1 there in the third. Then we head to the bottom of the third, folks, and Brandon Marsh gets himself, I'm trying to think, is his name Brandon Marsh? Yeah, Brandon Marsh. Okay, 2 leadoff hitters, both lefty outfielders, and Marsh and Nimmo throwing me off a little bit, I gotta be honest. Marsh gets an infield single that we saw, but a beautiful pickoff that you guys probably saw in my highlights here, thanks to Taijuan Walker, making Marsh look stupid there at first. Unfortunately, the Mets would have that same issue later in the game as Nimmo got picked off at first after a hit by pitch, but it's okay. These things happen. No less, then you see, to wrap up things in the inning there in the bottom of the third, Jeff McNeil does what he's done best. Jeff McNeil yesterday had a beautiful throw from right field to get out. I believe it was Ohtani at the plate or whoever it was. McNeil's looked great all around the diamond this year. Truly a Gold Glove caliber player, along with being one of the best base hitters in all of baseball, hitting in the gaps, hitting for opposite field. But Jeff had a beautiful diving catch that we saw there to get the final out in the bottom of the third. And that was giving me confidence for the remainder of this game. Then we get to the top of the fourth, folks. What happens? JD Davis, piss missile, his second bomb this season. This man has been robbed of more home runs than I can even count. If you look at JD Davis's baseball savant numbers, other than him swinging through fastballs right down the pipe constantly, his whiff rate is not great. Other than that, JD has been simply phenomenal at barreling balls, ridiculous exit velo, and just getting snubbed by great defensive alignment, some dead end balls here and there. And again, just overall bad luck. But JD got all that. Got the first bomb off of Sandoval this year, a no-doubter, and that gives the Mets a nice 2-1 lead at that point. Right after that, it didn't lead to any more runs, but Jeff McNeil got himself his second base knock of 3 on the day. And guys, I know that the visuals are dropping right now. My apologies once more. And again, Diaz in 4, trust me, there is reasons why I have Diaz in 4, and I'll explain that shortly. However, you can make all the arguments if I'm being quite honest, the only reason why I had Adam with Diaz as my number 4 star tonight was because of how quickly I was editing for the show. I already had Alonso at number 2, and I want Marte in the top 3, given him coming back from injury, having the impact that he did. But again, I'm not going to complain. If you want Diaz higher, that's perfectly fine. When you have a 5-out save, you deserve to be higher, and that's, again, can definitely be justified. No less, shout out to my man Mike at Stark Raven Sports, assuming it's Mike, or if it's Matt, appreciate you too, Matt. But guys, breaking down further about this game, guys, and please make sure to check out SRS, one of the best baseball channels out there on YouTube. It's not even close. But when we get to the 7th inning, folks, that's when the Mets again are starting to tack on some more. WardyNYM hit by pitch. The Mets have been hit like 40 times already this year. It's ridiculous. But again, sounds like a day that ends in Y. We got Braves fans saying Braves are coming for you. We'll see. You know, the Braves are murdering the really bad baseball teams, and the Mets are dominating really good baseball teams in the year. So if I'm looking at the Mets schedule going forward, having the fourth easiest strength of strength of schedule for the remainder of the year starting Tuesday, I like the Mets' chances of staying afloat. I got to be honest. I'm going to hopefully take a lot of you Mets fans off the cliff that you've been acting as if the sky's falling because the Braves and Phillies are naturally having hot streaks just like any other good team against bad teams. But again, we'll discuss that further, folks. We get to the seventh. WardyNYM gets a hit by pitch. Starting Marte is walked. Pete Alonso with a nice little oppo, not even a bloop, just a nice oppo RBI. And then normally you would think that, okay, this is going to be easy out at home. Duffy keeps it in the infield, but a terrible throw there to try to get the runner out at home. That brings in another run and give the Mets a nice 3-1 lead. Then as we head to the eighth inning, folks, Edwin Diaz happens. You see, to start the inning, you have Seth Lugo. He goes 1.1 scoreless today, but he did have a walk there to, I believe it was that being, and I want to double check here, Marsh with one out there in the eighth. Edwin Diaz is tasked with his first 5-out save opportunity of the season. Buck has toyed with this idea for a while, and he completely stepped up beyond belief. Edwin, again, right after that, he strikes out Mike Trout, the best player in baseball, with ease. Then he walks Rendon, and then he strikes out Walsh once more with a 102 heater right down the pipe. That is how you end the eighth inning. And then in the top of the ninth, Pete Alonso with 2 outs does exactly what he did yesterday late in the game. He takes one deep with a solo shot. Absolutely filthy. Pete Alonso, he's simply on an MVP level. Doesn't matter that he got hit by pitch. Here he has 2 to 3 home runs since he's came back from injury, like an absolute stud. Alonso with his second bomb of the series, a solo shot there to give the Mets a nice 4-1 lead, adding insurance runs there for Edwin Sugar Diaz. Marcana gets a nice barrel double there in the gap as well, but no less, that would end the ninth with a 3-1 lead. And that's all you need. 1, 2, 3 outs. That's what Diaz got in order, striking out the side. A beautiful 5-out save performance by the Mets and Edwin Diaz. His biggest save of not just the season, but one of his biggest saves of his young career here with the New York Mets a couple seasons in. Diaz has been absolute money. His ERA is now down to 2.13. Taijuan Walker, who was my number 1 star today, who I think deserves all the credit of the world for going up against an Angels team that had Patrick Sandoval pitching some strong ball. Sandoval only gave up 2 earned, 8 hits over 6 innings, but you had Ty. Ty won the pitching duel there, and that's something that the Mets have struggled to be able to do with the lack of consistency from Chris Bassett. You saw Cookie Carrasco, unfortunately, not having his best start, even though that, again, give the benefit of the doubt. Anything that you throw remotely in the zone to both Trout and Ohtani, not going to love your chances there. Again, he did throw some meatballs, let's be honest. Didn't have the best outing, to put it lightly. No less, when you have a lack of consistency in this rotation, you need guys to step up, and Taijuan Walker, who's gotten criticized left and right throughout his young Mets tenure, is really stepping up now. He's changing his arsenal, and again, not known for the punch-out stuff, just decided to take everything personally. And I love the fact that he came out tonight, got those 10 strikeouts, his first double-digit strikeout outing of this season, one of his best outings of his young career, and he has to be my number 1 star. I mean, again, Taijuan, what else could you ask for the young man, and what he was able to prove for the Mets to help them battle it out with Sandoval, who looked really strong there for the Angels for the southpaw. But then as we get to my number 2 star, folks, we got Pete Alonso, 2 for 4 with the home run, the 2 RBIs, and the run scored. Starling Marte, 2 for 4. The double, the RBI, the run scored. Edwin Diaz, that again, you can make all the reasons in the world to justify Diaz should be higher than number 4, and I'm not going to complain whatsoever. The beauty about doing these Wardy's top 5 is the fact that it's all subjective, and I rushed this one, I got to be honest with you, so I'm not offended whatsoever. If you guys are bothered by Diaz being at 4, if I'm looking at it now, you could rightfully justify maybe Diaz should be in that top 3 at minimum. And again, no complaints on my end. When you have these debates, that means it's a good thing, because that means there were enough Mets contributing tonight that you actually have to have a debate as who should be going where, because you have endless options. Jeff McNeil went 3 for 4 tonight, guys, and I don't even have him in my top 5 because of how many guys were rolling for the Mets, both offensively and in the pitching staff. I mean, that was phenomenal. But Diaz with the 5-out save, chef's kiss. We love Sugar. Thank you so much for that production. And then you got JD Davis, JD Double Davis, JD Home Run Davis. Who are you going to call 1-800 JD runs now, baby? 2 for 4 with the bomb, the RBI, and the run scored. Going down the list for the Mets offensively tonight, folks, again, it was beautiful. They got the job done. 11 hits, a 301 expected batting average. Nimmo 1 for 4 with a run score, but WardyNYM again was this close. Literally a absolute hair close to getting himself not just one, but 2 bombs on the day. Not complaining at all with Nimmo only having 1 run scored and 1 hit. Marte, we discussed him. Lindor went over 4. I'm not even surprised. Lindor just doesn't hit well from the right side, at least at this point. And that isn't the case just for him, but for many others. Looking at Eduardo Escobar as well, Eddie has done better against lefties in previous games, but today he got absolutely shelled. Went 1 for 5 as a whole today. But Lindor, not a great day at the plate. But again, thankfully the Mets are still able to rally the way that they are with a lack of consistency with Lindor, as he's still, again, now finally getting back to 100% over these past couple games from his injury that he sustained to start off this West Coast trip. Mark Canha 1 for 4 with that nice double there in the 9th inning. Not complaining there. Mark Canha was phenomenal all West Coast trip. So proud of him. Even when things were going wrong for the Mets in this West Coast trip, Mark Canha was one of those few bright spots on the offensive category. Eddie again over 5, not concerned. J.D. Davis talking about him. Jeff McNeil talking about him again too. Jeff hitting for opposite field, 3 for 4 with the elite defense. That is, in my opinion, who the starting second baseman this year's All-Star game could be. Jazz Chisholm has been an absolute beast, but I think as of now, McNeil, he's obviously the better hitter. He has over 20 hits more than Jazz in the same amount of games so far. Yes, he lacks in the slugging, but he makes up for it with elite defense in literally every position known to man. More versatility that Jazz simply can't comprehend and really go toe-to-toe with. So both of them deserve to be in the All-Star game, but with slight bias, I'm putting Jeff there as your starting second baseman. The fact that this guy is on pace right now to potentially be the NL hitting champ, that has to say something, along with that elite defense at second, and right, and left. Wherever you're going to put the guy, he's going to be an absolute stud. So shout out to Flying Squirrel for being an all-star caliber player all year long for the Mets, no matter what position he's been playing in. And Tomas Nido went 0 for 4, again, not complaining. Taiwan, 6 only giving up 1. Seth Lugo, 1.1 scoreless. And Edwin Sugar Diaz with the 5-out save. That, folks, is your Mets victory. That, folks, is a series dub. And that, folks, tells you that, yes, the Mets are now 18 games above 500. They're 40-22 on this season and still have a nice, comfortable lead on the Atlanta Braves. Don't get me wrong, it's not as comfortable as 10.5 games, what would have been the case entering this West Coast trip. But again, when the Mets go 500 in the West Coast trip, which is exactly what I pray that they would do, I thought if they could do that, that I'm feeling comfortable, even if, say, the Braves and or Phillies get rolling. Again, Braves haven't lost a game, so the Phillies Mets going 5-5 over the past 10. Yes, you're going to drop games during that span, but look at the context. Look at who the Braves playing right now. Look at their next couple series as well. Still bottom feeder teams. Look at the Phillies and who they've been playing for the most part, other than the Brewers. You know, the Brewers have been on a skid as of late. The Mets now play them starting Tuesday. When you evaluate the context, when you evaluate the fact that the Mets have been dominating teams above 500 this year, far better than basically any other team, not just in the NL, but in baseball, that gives me the utmost confidence that this team is going to continue to roll back on the East Coast. We have Tyler McGill back. We have Trevor May and James McCann getting closer to returning. We have Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom getting closer to returning over the next month. Positives are coming for this Mets team. I think it's about time that everyone stops overreacting by the fact that, yeah, teams are going to have winning streaks, especially against piss poor teams. It's about the ebbs and flows of a normal 162 season, guys. It's about staying consistent. And again, the fact that the Mets have had a top 5 or top 10 hardest schedule in baseball through the first 60-plus games, now get the 4th easiest schedule for the remainder of the 2022 season is definitely something that needs to be said. The Mets have their, I believe, final 20 out of their 30 or so games of the year against absolute bottom feeder teams. Nothing's a guarantee. I'm aware of that. But the point is how things are based right now. The Mets, you can argue, have already had their hardest stretch of the season, which was this 10-game West Coast trip, and they didn't even go below 500. So that's why I'm feeling confident. That's why I'm feeling good about this team. I hope you guys are too. But no less, Mets fans, my upwards of 500 viewers, thank you all so much for watching for this Mets postgame show. Now it's time to start answering all your comments, questions, and concerns. But for people on replay, which is all you guys, make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you feel after this massive Mets victory tonight? Winning 4-1. The context, again, is winning, going 500 on this West Coast trip, and now starting things off on the right foot, heading back home for their series starting Tuesday against Milwaukee. Let me know who was your biggest takeaway, who stood out the most for you, not just in tonight's game, but throughout this entire West Coast trip. And all in all, make sure to let me know. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for the support. People in the live stream, let's answer those comments, donations, all that fun stuff now. But again, for people on replay, you know the drill. This is where I'll be cutting things off.